Let's talk a little bit about what kind of services and what these operators are doing. When it comes to the consumers, we have the enhanced mobile broadband, enhancing your actual experience on 5G, but we have other services as well that can work, and we see some operators actually trying to launch them and trying to get revenues from them. The first ones is selling speed tiers. I have a subscription with all you can eat highest speed. But we are seeing that some operators are starting to differentiate the speed tiers. So you can pay less, get a lower speed, you can pay more and get a higher speed. This is very good for gaming. Um, Technology allows you to do that. You can do slicing, you can do quality of service, whatever technicality that will allow you to maintain this actual increase of speed. We are seeing a lot of operators doing aggregation. What does content aggregation mean? They are selling packages including the content. So you buy, I don't know, you buy a 5G subscription with Spotify. Just giving you an example. But of course, this they were doing with 4G. But we see that these ways of selling to consumers are actually going to enhance the revenue of the operator. Enhanced 5G features, as I spoke about, very low latency with slicing will allow you to have very, very specific cloud gaming applications that we will talk also a little bit about that. I haven't seen it take off, but in markets like Korea, we see some of those packages being sold. FWA is currently the largest use case for 5G in terms of revenue, but also in terms of adoption, subscribers, etc. when it comes to specific 5G service, other than the specific EMBB where you actually upgrade your service automatically just by having a subscription with the operator that has 5G. And we're also expecting that these 5G use cases, will, the end user devices will start more and more using 5G. So the 5G use cases will become a little bit more refined. I was talking here with some our partners from STC where they are working on basically cameras, 4K cameras that they might launch in the country with 5G, with either modems or in camera modem, etc. So we see now the devices moving towards adopting the technology for the specific use. Let's talk a little bit more about FWA. Erman has a booth also here in the front of our big booth. There's a station for fixed wireless access. You can also go talk to him for any additional information that you want. But this is the most successful use case that we have seen so far. It's really successful either to connect unconnected areas, but also underconnected areas. So unconnected areas, obviously, where there is no service, there is no fiber, no DSL, and even sometimes no cellular or only cellular. And underconnected means it's an area where you might have only one fiber, let's say, provider, and you have to go buy from him. So there is room for competition to bring in other services with FWA. So obviously, FWA can replace cable, can replace fiber, DSL. When it comes to cable and DSL, obviously there are big OPEX advantages by adopting FWA. These are usually very, very expensive to maintain. So is fiber, but fiber obviously it's the same speeds as FWA. So from let's say from a performance perspective, it's very, very viable. And if you have the fiber for now, we don't advise the customers to basically cut the fiber, but cable and DSL, yes. And also it addresses SMEs, 100 small, medium companies with 100 employees or less. FWA becomes a reality because of the bandwidth that can be used in that small company. Big market. This is unconnected areas, secondary houses, farms, chalets in the mountains, whatever secondary homes. We saw a big market. Now, how is it sold and how is the money coming? this is the number of times you will do your ARPU is higher than a normal mobile broadband ARPU. So you have to understand that FWA is sold at a higher ARPU than a normal connection. And you can go up to, between 3 and 5 times the normal ARPU that you will have from a single connection of enhanced mobile broadband. And where we see that is basically the high-end offerings, where we have external CPEs, very high, let's say, speeds, 100 to 500 Mbps, almost guaranteed. And those are, you would be able to sell them at, between 3 and 5 times your ARPU, your enhanced your mobile broadband ARPU. In the mid-range, we see basically the 5G indoor CPE, which is a direct competitor of the 5G outdoor CPE because you can get almost the same speeds. And then here at the low tier would be the 4G, let's say, indoor CPE with the lowest speed. So there is a differentiation that can be made. You could do price tiering. You can pay a different price for different packages, including different hardware. Your cost would be higher, but you can also charge higher. So there's a lot of ways to monetize the FWA. A very successful example. Yesterday we met Sheikh Talal here, CEO of Omantel, and he actually praised the work that they have done on fixed wireless access and the work that we have done with them. Very successful uptake. Currently, Oman has the highest 5G traffic in the region, in Middle East and Africa. The 5G portion of, not in absolute numbers, but in proportion to the total data traffic. So in Oman currently, with Omantel, the portion of mobile broadband or data that is carried by 5G is over 50% of the total network data. So basically, they are really, really recovering the investment that they have done on 5G. Without it, can you imagine they would have needed to carry this 50%, basically double what they are carrying on 4G. Imagine the cost in terms of sites and so forth. So we have seen a 5-fold growth in the 5G when they brought basically the 5G FWA. Not very long time, in 2020. So in 2 years we saw that. And it's even overtaking basically the 4G proportion when it comes to data and so forth. So huge, huge success. And I can tell you, they are starting to see kind of a plateau in terms of households. Oman is a large country, but small population. So basically, the household coverage is almost finished. So they are, they won't see an increase, let's say, of additional households, but of course, data increase will happen. So now, his question was, now I've done this very successfully. What is the next step? What am I gonna do next? One of the things that they can work on next is, making sure that cloud gaming happens, mobile cloud gaming happens. And we've done a study, part of this mobility report, where we asked the, different service providers, why is it not happening, basically. And basically all the answers were around network capabilities and so forth. But we believe that basically with 5G, it would be a catalyst for this, and it will make it a success. So all of these, let's say, concerns for this business not really taking up is really can be answered by having 5G on the network. For the enterprise and the public sector, we see, a lot of work being done. Not huge business yet, but a lot of, let's say, a lot of potential. 3 different things we're talking to the enterprise and public sector verticals. One is, working on the APIs, on harmonizing these APIs for 5Gs, so that we can expose the network capabilities to those enterprises, and that they can basically monetize. So if a service provider exposes what he can do, the data of his network, the speed on his network, the quality of service, etc., then the enterprise can actually use this data and use it somehow in their process or in whatever they need to be able to to do something with it, but obviously the operator will be able to monetize it. Private networks, we have seen a few. I'll give a few examples later. And then also managed WAN, managed LAN services for enterprises. We see service providers also going into this business. And 5G would be one of the access. They would use all their other networks, but 5G would be, plus the fiber, plus the Wi-Fi, etc. A business. Now, the reason why we don't see a lot of success basically in this area is related to how the companies themselves are transforming. You cannot sell 5G like you're selling 4G. You need to transform your own, your own sales force actually, because in reality, you need the technology expertise in-house to be able to sell it, but more importantly, you need an industry expertise. If you want to sell to, I don't know, Aramco, who are here, you need to know what their problems are. What can 5G fix for Aramco? If you don't know the industry, you will not be able to sell them, because the only thing you can sell today is connectivity. But you cannot go sell Aramco a private 5G network just for connectivity. They already have connectivity. Why would they need it? How can 5G help them? So you really need to understand their process. You need to understand where the technology of 5G can help them in their process, and create a product basically specifically for them. System integration, as I said, if you're going to create a product for them that goes beyond connectivity, there will be integration with their systems. And here we have partners where we can explore, and you can explore together with them what are the, what is the future when it comes to enterprise and different applications that we can do with 5G. So those partners are here in our booth on my left, and then they can help you with, with different ideas. This is an example we did with British Telecom, where for a specific port, we used 5G, but we developed a whole solution where, the port, it's more for the digitalization of the port, where we were able to use, cameras, our network obviously, but to be able to do, to help the port become more efficient. They need to know, they want to locate the containers. They want security cameras. They want a command and control to launch drones, for example, to verify an area where there was a spill or an accident. So all of this needs to be all connected together, and we worked with them for the solution, enabling the whole connectivity with the system integrator to make all of this work for their command and control center. Very good example, it's in the port of Tyne. I don't know where Tyne is, but must be in the UK. Sorry? Newcastle. Newcastle on Tyne. Very good. Yes. And for the sustainability, 5G is where we basically changed the model. I have another presentation on another stage where I'm going to talk a lot about this later. But 5G is the first technology that we have introduced where we can say that you are adding a technology on your network, but you are reducing your power consumption. So currently, for any operator, we can go work with them on modernizing their network. And by doing this, we are able to tell them, you can launch 5G, but your electricity bill will actually be lower than what it is today. And this is really thanks to our, let's say, R&D guys who focused on form factor, who focused on energy consumption when they are designing the radios and the basebands for the network. So it's huge sum of money, and 5G basically is gonna help the operators once they modernize their network, you know, spend less on this OpEx basically. We will talk. I can talk more about that in the other presentation. So final slide. More 5G, more capacity with less consumption, you know, lower carbon footprint, fantastic growth potential with FWA today, but hopefully with more industry, private networks, as I have spoken. And you know, hopefully when we put together the right approach towards the enterprises, you know, the technology, the vertical know-how, and the system integration part, we will be able to, you know, push a lot of 5G value with the enterprises. So that's it. I'm gonna take questions now. So if there's any questions.
Yeah.
Wissam.
Thank you, Shafiq, for the great presentation. A question is about the FWA, because we see that this is maybe a big potential. Is there any plan for Ericsson to create or to start selling FWA, creating and selling FWA devices in the market?
Yeah.
I'm talking about devices, consumer devices.
Well, we do have actually Cradlepoint that has devices. It's routers that you know have modems and they are used as an FWA CPE. So we do have that. It's in specific markets because they are more targeted towards enterprise, not for consumers, mainly for enterprise. Yeah. So, but I mean, you can just look it up and.
Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Shafiq. Many operators want to get into the, especially if you want to address the industry, you want to get into their value chain because it's not anymore about selling SIM cards. It's, you know, what the operators try to do to capture the industry market. They want to go up in the value chain. And how can we help them to get to that?
I mean, if I go back, I mean, this is the formula. They will not be successful unless they have the technology expertise. We can help them with the technology expertise, but there needs to be industry expertise as well. So either they do it with the partner from the industry, like with Aramco, but normally the industry partners, especially the big ones, they're not interested. They have the money to buy whatever they want normally, so they're not interested. So it's the opposite. If we're trying to sell them, we need to have the industry expertise to be able to know what their problems are. At the end, you cannot sell anything if you don't have a problem to fix. So if you don't know the problem, connectivity alone has no value. So you will stay very low in the value chain. So you need to know what the problem is. And most importantly, you need to be able to implement the solution in the right way. So you have to have this system integration expertise as an operator to be able to sell it, or partner with an SI. But if you don't tackle these three, you will stay very low and you will just sell connectivity and a SIM card. Other questions? Okay, I guess not. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the show. All right.
Thank you, Shafiq.